Summary of A Rumour of War by Philip Caputo. In the beginning of his autobiography, A Rumour of War, Philip Caputo says that it is not a history book but just a book about war and what happens to people when war is fought. In 1960, Caputo joins the Marine Corps because he wants to experience new things and be in danger. He is born and raised in Westchester, Illinois, which is a western suburb of Chicago. He wants to get away from his boring middle American neighborhood. His ideals from the Kennedy years also get the best of him, and he thinks that joining the military is the best way to answer the president's call for public service and show that he is against the spread of communism. Caputo graduates from Loyola University in 1964. He then goes to Quantico, Virginia, for Officers Basic School, where he does a training for 6 months before being sent to his first job. He is a second lieutenant and his first job is to lead a rifle group in the 1st Battalion of the 3rd Marine Division. In January 1965, he is stationed in Okinawa, Japan, and is happy with his life there. There are rumors that someone might be sent to Vietnam. The company is sent to Da Nang in South Vietnam after a few false starts. In the beginning, their only job is to protect the ARVN. As the war goes on, though, and fighting within the South Vietnamese takes their attention away from their main goal of beating the Viet Cong, the Marine Corps ends up fighting the most. Caputo writes about a war that is less exciting and more like a never-ending wait. They fight more with mosquitoes, snakes, and centipedes than with the enemy. When there are battles or when someone steps on a mine, the war shows how cruel it is. Men lose limbs or become veggies because they are sick or too hot, and bodies are cut up so badly that they can't be recognized. And if that wasn't sad enough, Caputo is sent to regimental headquarters to work as an assistant adjutant, which means he is an official whose job it is to report on the deaths of both Marines and Viet Cong. Caputo calls himself officer in charge of the dead because he has written down the names of so many soldiers who died in battle. One day he comes across the name of 1st Lieutenant Walter Neville Levy, who dies while trying to save a Marine who was already dead. It hurts Caputo that Levy has died because they were friends and had a lot in common. Caputo also admired Levy as a person. He starts to dislike how the war is killing good men, which makes him wonder if the war is really good and if the lives of men like Levy, Sergeant Hugh John Sully Sullivan, and Adam Simpson, Caputo's old friend at Quantico, are worth dying for. Caputo asks to be moved from his job as assistant adjutant because he is bored and feels guilty that his fellow Marines are suffering in the field while he has a relatively easy, but sad, job as a clerk. In a strange twist, he is supposed to take Lieutenant Levy's place in C Company of the 1st Battalion, 1st Marines. It looks like more American lives are being lost as the war gets worse. Caputo sees things that aren't clear-cut in terms of right and wrong, like when his new captain, Captain Neal, offers soldiers beer and more time to drink it for every dead VC the crew can bring him. Lance Corporal Crow tells Caputo that 2 of the VC suspects that Lieutenant Murph McCloy had cleared are actually active guerrillas who make mines and booby traps. Caputo vows to go after them. Being in the Marines gave him a strong desire to kill, and he also wants to get back at those who helped kill his friends and fellow soldiers. He puts together a security team with Crow, Allen, Thornhill, and 2 riflemen to catch the VCs. He tells the men to kill their enemies if they fight back. When the team comes back with 2 bodies, it's not clear at first which one is the right one. Captain Caputo was told by Crow that Le Dung was the younger man who told him that the 2 older men were VC. But it turns out that Le Dung and Le Du are 2 of the men that the Marines bring in dead. Later, Crow and Caputo are charged with murder and planning to kill someone, but the charges are later dropped against both of them. Caputo leaves Vietnam in the year 1965. In 1975, he goes back to the country as a foreign reporter. As he watches, the North Vietnamese army comes into the city and the South Vietnamese army gives up. The fight is finally over. That's why Caputo thought the US's moral fight for freedom in Vietnam was pointless.
About the author. Philip Caputo grew up in Westchester, Illinois, west of Chicago. He went to Purdue and Loyola universities and graduated from Loyola in 1964. Caputo joined the Marines in 1960 and went to officer candidate school while he was still in college. He was sent to Okinawa after high school. In 1965, the first few years of the war, he was one of the first American forces sent to Vietnam. 3 years of his time in the Marine Corps were spent in Vietnam, where he served for 16 months. Caputo left Vietnam as a soldier in July 1966. He was released from the Marine Corps in the middle of 1967, after serving one last tour as the leader of a rifle training company in North Carolina. For a short time, he joined the movement against the war, but he didn't fully commit to it. Caputo began working as a writer in 1968, starting with the Chicago Tribune as a general assignment and team investigative reporter until 1972. That year, he and a few other writers won the Pulitzer Prize for their work on a story about voting fraud in Chicago. After that, he worked as a foreign reporter for 5 years in Rome, Beirut, Moscow, and Saigon. It was there that he saw the Viet Cong invade and the city fall in 1975. In the same year, he quit his job as a reporter to write books and magazine pieces full-time. Horn of Africa, his first book, was one of the finalists for the National Book Award in 1980. Caputo is married to Leslie Ware, who used to work as a writer for Consumer Reports.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.